Hello, everybody. This is JJ Hardy, Jessica, and MK from the Trailblazing Entrepreneur Alliance group. And we are going to talk to you all today about how to network and creating an elevator pitch. First, I want to start off by taking full ownership of the fact that something got screwed up in communication. So there's a glitch in getting information out. We're going to fix that internally. So in 2 weeks, when we have this meeting again, that crap's not going to happen. We're going to make sure that everyone gets an email, whether it's the same day or 24 hours prior, to make sure that we are doing the best we can to communicate with everybody. Moving right along. So crafting an elevator pitch. Well, I'm not going to go over the rules for the group, but the rules are still going to be in our education. We'll go over that next time we talk inside of our networking meeting. So education topic, how to network and create an elevator pitch. Networking it's really the process of getting a bunch of people who know who you are. And it's also a method of selling and doing business acquisition. So we use, and everybody should use, the know, like, trust model. What I have found is that doesn't always happen. I like to use the word pitch slap because a lot of people will say, "Hi, how you doing? My name is Joe Snuffy. I offer this, and this is what I sell."
Joe Snuffy. All right, go ahead. Sorry, excuse me.
In the military, we always use Private Joe Snuffy as the example for everything.
Got it.
That's awesome.
You'll hear me say that a lot. I can't avoid it. It's like deep in there, and it probably makes me sound a little dumb, but I love it.
I love it. Good.
No, but so when you just go straight to selling your product, you lose credibility. The reason that you do the know, like, trust approach to selling is that once people get to know a little bit about you, they start to care about you. That doesn't mean they care about you. That just now means they know who you are, and you've established that initial level of rapport. Liking you means that you have maybe told your story, or you've had a couple calls with them, or maybe you had one really, really good call with them, and they got to know you a little bit. They got to know JJ or Jessica or MK or Joe Snuffy or whoever the case may be. And you've now established that second level of rapport. So they're probably going to be like, they're not such a bad person. Maybe I should find out more about them. They already know you're in the business world, so you're going to have an offer coming eventually. They expect that. But don't let that be the first thing that smacks them in the face.
Yeah, I feel like with that, the whole, like, establishing that trust, to me, it opens the door for them to come to you, to allow them to come to you in their own time and be like, "Hey, now I'm interested in what you can do for me," because you establish that trust with them. So in my mind, it's a little bit of work in the beginning, but you end up creating that rapport so they can come to you. So honestly, when it comes to actually selling to them, it's less work once you've established that trust. And a lot of times those are the same clients that will come to you over and over again because you started out like that in the beginning instead of just going for it. And I'm like, on the opposite of that. I know Jessica and I were talking about it earlier, is the people who come in and get to know you, but it's almost like under the guise of like, "Oh, I want to be your friend," or "I want to do this," and then all of a sudden they want to sell to you. So there's like two extremes that you see in that world of sales. And so I do feel like creating that underlying trust and just being genuine. People all have a BS like radar, and if you're BSing them, they're gonna know, and that trust is gone no matter how hard you try.
And especially with the competition out there. So you want to make sure that if you're, two companies that are alike are after this one person, you want to be the one that builds that rapport and builds that trust. Because if it's between, in my case, if I have two companies coming to me, if I have A and B and B is working to get to know me, to build that trust, to learn about my business and that softer touch, I'm gonna go with B before I would go with A, because I'm learning them and I'm getting to know them and I'm building that rapport, which is in my opinion far more valuable than a sales pitch. I hate sales pitches. It's an instant turnoff. I'll be truly honest with you. It's just something that's ingrained in me with business. And that's one thing that I struggle with sales, because I don't want to be that person. So this process is a much better for me in my business because it's more natural.
Yeah.
I agree. And in addition to that, when they trust you, when you've gone through that entire process and built trust in a person, not only will they want to continue conversations with you, but that even if they don't do business with you, that opens the door for them to start referring other business to you. And honestly, if your network is your net worth, I didn't coin that. I don't even remember where I heard it first, but then look at how social media grows. If you get to know everybody and you build that trust with them, your inner network can grow the same way.
Yep.
And it's not the only thing that's really stopping that from happening is you. And if you want to go straight into pitching first, then you're going to miss those opportunities. Now that kind of transitions us into the next topic. Don't want to beat up that one too much, but that an elevator pitch. So now we're talking about don't pitch slap anybody. And then we're going to go into elevator pitches. Well, there is a forum for that, right? So even in our first networking call, we're going to move this on to 2 weeks from now. We're going to ask everybody to give us their elevator pitch. Most networking venues that you go to, they'll have you stand up. And guess what? When you stand up in a networking group, you're not talking to an individual. You are talking to everyone. And what an elevator pitch is, it's a snapshot in time of you that they're going to remember, so that, they'll either like you in that moment for the goofiness that you put up during your elevator pitch, or they're going to like the service that you're offering, or they're going to appreciate something that you said. And that will prompt them to want to take that next step to get to know you. So you got to, just like leadership, just like the balance between pitch slapping and not pitch slapping and just getting to know somebody, you kind of got to find the balance there, right? So when you're crafting that elevator pitch, it needs to have something personal about you, but it also needs to go clearly into what your business is, and it needs to be really some people say 30 seconds, some people say 2 minutes, some people say it needs to be under 3 minutes. I mean, I've heard all kinds of different things, but at the end of the day, I think what we're going to do for our group is a 60-second elevator pitch. And so if you're listening to this and you want to join our networking group, that is what we are going to require from everybody. And it's not to say we're going to put you on the spot, but we want to get to know who you are in that moment. And the way to do that is for you to just tell us something real quick. Maybe we'll want to get to know you afterwards.
It's also utilizing this forum and the group as a whole to practice that elevator pitch. It took, and it's taking still, every time I go to say it, something changes in my elevator pitch, and it should be pretty consistent. Now, I don't want to go to every person in a networking group and say the same thing over and over again, but it's a way of getting everything out. How can my business, and I will go further into this, but how can my business and what I have to offer help you and your pain points in your business. So you want to be able to develop something that's quick, that you can catch the attention of somebody very quickly and create that connection to, you know, each person that you're meeting within these groups. And, you know, I tend to like a shorter elevator pitch, only because when you're networking, you've got people coming in and they're interrupting and they're saying, oh, excuse me, hey, how are you? And then it's like, well, I had 60 seconds, but you don't. I personally like a quick snapshot of who I am, what I can provide for your business, and how my business touches on your pain points. That to me is something that I like to see. Your longer ones, in my opinion, and JJ, sorry, I don't want to take over here, but I feel are more for your stand-up networking events or events like this where they say, hey, you have 60 seconds. So do a couple of them. Have a couple ideas of what you want to say. So as you're developing this, you have those for your audience, knowing how much time you have, and being able to develop that and utilize that for each event.
Yeah, I think that's important, and especially knowing who you're talking to, because, you know, different networking groups have different vibes. And
Yep.
so how you're going to appeal to each one is going to be different. And I also think it's important for you to kind of within your elevator pitch kind of shed a little light into why you are different than the 500 other people in your industry, because within a networking group, there's going to be someone else, at least one other person in your industry. And it's not like this is like fight to the death or anything, but I just think it's important for you to already know why you stand out. So like within that 30 seconds, and I'm also one who likes it short and sweet. I think people don't have the attention span to like compute more than that, but just hit them hard with like who you are, why you're doing this, and within all of that should be wrapped up into the pain points and who you are and all of that.
So I did put together a little bit of an agenda, and it's kind of approved by everybody, of what we were going to talk about in today's networking group, which we were hoping, and it can still happen in a couple of weeks, to generate some wonderful discussion on this. However, I'm going to copy and paste the entire description below and put it in this post underneath this video. But these are the key aspects of generating, and they're just considerations. You can craft it however you want to craft it. But the elevator pitch should consist of elements of all of the following. So you're identifying your goal. So what do you want to get out of that conversation? Explain what you do. Define your unique value proposition. We can go into a whole conversation on what that is, but there's a description for that as well. Know your audience. Again, conversation. Engage with a question or a startling statement. So, I mean, that doesn't have to be something that's vivid or inappropriate or anything like that, but it needs to be something that gets their attention. When it's startling, it gets your attention. Showcase the benefits of you and what you do. Have a call to action. A call to action is just something to move forward with after that elevator pitch has been said. And you need to practice this pretty consistently. Keep it short and sweet, just like Jessica said, and make sure you're passionate. If you sound like a robot when you're giving your elevator pitch, people are going to know that you're nervous, and that might actually generate another conversation in itself. But you want to practice and practice and practice and practice to the point where it is natural. And that can be by yourself, or it can be with your friends, or I used to practice on my kids, and they would look at me like I was an idiot when I was done, because they're like, Dad, why do I want to know any of that crap? But just those are some key considerations. I mean, you can do it however you want to, and this is not the only format that you use to create an elevator pitch, but there are definitely some good considerations.
Yeah, I think the key takeaway is just to be uniquely yourself. And so like no one wants you to be anyone other than that. So all of these points are great. but like JJ said, just make sure that you're doing it in a way that's natural to you. Not all of us are going to be, great at talking and sharing. I know I am not. So mine's going to be different than someone who is a little bit more eloquent, and that's okay. So I think this is a great place and a safe space to be able to bring your elevator pitch, or even the making of one. Even if you don't have one, it'd be like great saying, okay, I don't really even know where to begin with this. This is a space that we can help each other create something that's impactful. That's why we're doing this.
I'll tell you, one of the networking groups that I belong to, there's a gentleman who every time he goes to a networking event, he does a elevator pitch that has a slight jingle to it, and he snaps his fingers. Well, it got to one of the first events that I showed up to. I know nothing, and I'm sitting around, and people are like, "Where are you snapping? Where's your snapping?" Because I guess he started an elevator pitch and he didn't do it. And he's like, so he had to like backtrack, and he actually added the snapping back in, and it was funny because that has become almost an advertisement or a jingle advertisement for his business, and people now know him as that. So that's something that triggers them to know him. So I think that was a very clever way for him, especially if you have that type of personality, to add something like that to your elevator pitch. Be creative. You hear elevator pitches all the time, and yes, you're at these networking events to meet everyone, but try to come up with something that sets you aside. You're hearing all these people, you could have hundreds of people trying to introduce themselves to each other, and you're, expected to meet everyone. So having those jingles. One more thing I wanted to talk about too is, knowing the audience as well. There was actually, it might have even been similar event, but I had someone that I had met at the event, and he had spoken about his business, and he said, he's all the things that he does. And he's like, yeah. And he's like, we do a little bit of HR. And he goes, I know nobody likes HR, and then when it was my turn, and I was like, well, unlike, him, and not a lot of people knew me, I was like, I'm Jessica, and I handle all HR. It was funny because the way that transition happened, it was just a funny experience. He enjoyed it. He thought it was funny. It was a good transition for me. And the audience, of course, laughed. So it was like that engagement, and whether or not that's going to stick with them and they're always going to remember that, it was something that I was able to put on some type of funny transition that even if it triggers one person to remember that funny moment, even if it is just me, it's at least some type of takeaway. Yeah.
Yep. Well, would definitely past the normal 15 minutes that we like to spend on the education part of things. But are there any closing comments from either of you?
Just, I think the only thing I want to say is, if you don't know your elevator pitch and you're still trying to refine it, utilize us. Whether it's the whole networking group or if it is just JJ, MK, and myself, we want to be able to help you to develop that elevator speech that is going to, put you on a different level. So if it means scheduling some time with one or all three of us, let's talk through that. We want to be here to help you. Utilize the group, the members in the group. We are here to assist each other. We're all going to be learning. We all don't know everything. So utilize us as a team. Let us all be each other's rock.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And, you may not have popped into the calls today. By the way, our fault. I'm going to go ahead and make sure I say that again. But you can still keep this conversation going through commenting below this video.
Please comment.
Yourselves. Please comment. Talk amongst yourselves. Keep the conversation rolling. We don't have a lot of people in this group, but it's growing. So we want to make sure that we are engaged and make sure that all the posts that us or anybody else puts in here, you engage with those things. We are trying to create an entire support ecosystem here just within this Trailblazing Entrepreneur Alliance group. So be part of that and make sure that you are providing value as well. That's how you're going to have to be in the business community anyway. So do it here too, please.
Actually, it might be a good idea to practice your elevator speech. Do a 30-second video, post it in the comments, and let us critique it. Let's do constructive criticism for you, provide you with feedback, and get others information, on what their opinion is. Be vulnerable, put yourself out there. It's a really good step for you, and it will help you get moving in your business. So put your elevator speech in the comments for us. Let's all
look goofy together.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Thanks for watching.
Yep. Have a good day, everybody. Thank you for
tuning in. Bye.